If you heard me correctly when I was speaking, I listed 12 indicia of good governance, and I mentioned them one at a time. Most of Kenyan leaders, and by leaders I mean those who occupy public office, whether elected or appointed, lack the majority of things that I listed. And I think this is not a controversial point. It is mostly universally accepted that most Kenyan leaders, elected or appointed, are not appointed or elected on the basis of their competence or capacity to perform. Most people almost take it as a given that most, if not all of them, will either violate the law, infringe on ethical standards, or be outrightly subverters of the Constitution and the rule of law. And a large number of them are either convicted felons or criminals, or facing charges or not facing charges because of their political connections. So that's something that is accepted, unfortunately, in Kenya. And I remember when I used to work as the senior advisor to the Prime Minister, people expected me to steal so that I could be smart like others. So stealing was considered being smart. You are eating where you are working. You are smart to an average Kenyan. And I think this is the issue that we have to address. So to ask me the major aspects of leadership our leaders lack, I've listed them. They are obvious. And those are the ones we have to change. If those do not change substantially, Kenya is going to become a basket case. Kenya, as we speak, is bankrupt. That's the truth. Over 60% of revenue that is collected through taxes are spent servicing debt. So turn that around and assume you are Kenya and you are earning 1,000 shillings a month, and 60 of this money is servicing debt. You're literally bankrupt, because 40% of income goes to accommodation. So which means 40% is already gone. You've already spent 100%. You have not eaten. You have not bought clothes. You have not had any kind of entertainment. You have not had children and taken them to school. You have not attended funerals. You have not done anything, but the money is gone. That is Kenya. All right? We are spending more than we can afford. And the debt that is taken is used by those in power to become rich. Kenya is one of those countries where two families have more money than the government. Two families have money more than the treasury. Two families. I mean, this is obscene. It is an atrocity. So the problem is, when I say this, the press thinks I'm the problem because I'm saying it. And many of you here will look at me as the problem because I'm saying it. And that is where the problem is. Because you should be angry that somebody is bankrupting the country or already bankrupted is, and your children will not have a future. and your children's children. But you're not angry with me. You're not angry with them who are stealing. You're angry with the person saying they are stealing. So that is the problem. From the leadership to down here. The next question. The gentleman did not listen to me at all. Because the first word he used is the word I already articulated, explained very well, why the word deportation should not and should never apply to me. So you see, if you go to class and you're a good teacher and you have taught, and at the end of the day, you got this, you just failed that person. But this is a leader. This is how sad it is. He has been a leader in his county. He introduced himself as having been a leader. So if he does not understand what I have explained in 1 hour, how the hell does this person understand public policy? You see the problem? No. I want to be very clear that if you can't internalize what I've just said in 1 hour, there is absolutely no way that you're going to deliver services to Kenyans. So I don't want to be so harsh, but I had to say it. Because there's no other way of saying it. I'm not a good diplomat, and I'm not in the business of diplomacy. I'm a truth teller. Then he made it worse. Then he said, I swore in Raila Odinga and did not follow due process. So remember I told you all the indicia of good governance. And I went through the process and said, if you remove a citizen from Kenya, you're doing two things. You are renditioning or you are extraditing. And it has to go through a legal process. And I said it has to start with notice. It goes to somebody being charged. It goes to an impartial, neutral tribunal, then which has to be fair. And at the end, you are either convicted or acquitted. So, which process did I not follow? So that's number one. Which is the due process I did not follow? I went to Uhuru Park like a citizen. Raila Odinga stood there. As a lawyer, I came with my pen. I came with my commission stamp. I signed. I stamped as a lawyer, which I am paid to do, which I have a license to do, and he swore. Right? Was he charged? Was Raila Odinga charged? Who was his coalition brother? Uhuru Kenyatta, the president that I am supposed to have been removing. So now Miguna, a lawyer who commissioned the signature, is guiltier than the one who wanted to replace Uhuru Kenyatta. Are you really normal? So these people took us 4 years running around with BBI and whatnot, and they were good. But Miguna, who only signed the oath, is supposed to be a criminal? All right, so assuming he was. So through some logical contortion, Miguna became a criminal. You charge him, you take him to court, you try him, you allow him to defend himself. Did that happen? What did they do? A whole government with the military, with the police, including Kwekwe and the flying squad and the DCI and all manner of people, put their tails between their legs, and all they could do is destroy my passport and force me into a plane. An unarmed man. One man. So you can tell that they were scared of this. There was nothing else. You take me to court and you look like an idiot. That's what they were scared of. I would have made lunch and supper and dinner combined into one in a theater in court. And they didn't. They couldn't stand that. So when you come here and say you swore Raila Odinga in, and why shouldn't I? Finally. Because he won an election. He did. I believe he did. So should I support the imposter that stole the election instead of the one that won? Even if I hate the one that won. And I didn't like him. I just did it because he won. You see, me, I'm a very clear person. I don't cover for all these things. So the person who betrayed me now is good, which is Raila Odinga, and the one that he betrayed me, Uhuru Kenyatta, are supposed to be good, but Miguna is bad. No, you're not going to get that through me. So there was no due process. And it went to court, and the court said Miguna did not break any law. He swore Raila in correctly, legally. End of story. Now, the next question. Policies vis-a-vis the youth and governance. The youth do not need policies in governance or otherwise to participate in public life or in the governance of the country. The Kenyan youth simply needs to be organized. And as it were today, you are completely and thoroughly disorganized. During my time at the University of Nairobi, many of these so-called second liberation fighters were not there. They had curled their tails between their legs, and they were either eating with Kanu, or some of them were in jail. Who struggled against one-party state? Two groups of people, no other. Mainly students, mainly at the University of Nairobi and Kenyatta, and some of their lecturers, and the clergy. Not the trade unions, not the civil servants, just students, some of their teachers, and the clergy. One-party rule ended or did not end. Yes, we had casualties. Yes, some of us died. Yes, some of us were pauperized. Yes, some of us were exiled. But we had a successful struggle that led to the repeal of Section 2A of the Constitution and the reintroduction of multi-party democracy. The one you enjoy now, you have truly fought for it. And I'm very proud of it. If somebody asks me, what contributions have you made? I can start there. And I was only your age. I wasn't older than you. When I was expelled from the University of Nairobi, I was 23 years of age. I wasn't older. But I didn't wait. And I only came of a peasant mother. I didn't have anybody holding my hand. All right? Nobody sponsored me to be a student leader. Students recognized leadership and voted for me. And I delivered. We fought more like crazy. And there was no turning back. That's what the youth of Kenya must do. There is no excuse. Policy will not make you anything. Policy is just something written on a piece of paper. Next one. That Miguna participate in through social media handles, other means beyond that. So, a good question, but unfortunate. So Miguna was exiled from Kenya by force using guns, and you saw it. The last time I regained consciousness in Dubai. Basically, they came, wrestled me to the ground, injected me with sedatives, and I passed out. I only woke up in Dubai, and I asked, where is this? Oh, that you are in Dubai. So I knew, right? So I'm taken out, and I've been trying to come back for 4 years and 6 months, and they have blocked me from coming back. What else did you want me to do? Honestly, if you're using your brain. I'm in Canada. It's more than 5,000 miles away, 10,000 miles away. The media is controlled and throttled by the same people. All right? S.K. Macharia, the chairman of Azimio, heads the Royal Media Group and Citizen, right? The Moi family owns KTN and the Standard Group, right? Azimio still, right? Uhuru Kenyatta owns Media Max with everything else, including the Nation Media Group, including K24. And then you tell Miguna, what other means other than social media? So, was I supposed to turn into osmosis? Miguna is just a human being like you. I didn't even have to do it through social media. Why me? Why not you? Why must I be the one? I can also just enjoy the beauty of my wife and the splendorency of my children and work like everybody else. So when you're talking about me, you have to say, he's a human being just like me. Is he doing less than me or more than me? And if I'm doing more than you, then you are failing, not me. Because if you did like me, this society would have changed already. So that's number one. Number two, social media is more powerful than any other media. Unless you live in Jupiter. So let's come back to Earth. Which media is more pervasive in terms of how many people it reaches on a daily basis than social media? None. My Twitter handle alone is visited by more than 10 million people every day. My Twitter handle alone. I have almost 3 million people following me. That's just following. They're not following for anything else. They're following to read what I have to say. It's larger than KTN. And now you're telling me there's no effect. How can it be that I have no effect, yet you know me? And I'm not your relative. And I don't teach at Kemu. Right? And I'm not your boyfriend. Right? So the only reason you know me is because I'm effective. We have to admit it. Some people will say, oh, he said he's effective, therefore he's arrogant. So what am I supposed to say? I'm ineffective when I'm effective. I am very effective. The reason why they don't want to interview me through the Githeri media is because they don't want me to speak. Because they know all the myths they have spread about me are false. And I'll be able to deconstruct them in 5 minutes. But because they want to perpetuate the myth, Miguna is mad, Miguna is arrogant, he can't get along with anyone. So how did I end up at Kemu if I don't get along with anyone? How come I was invited here and not them? You see what I mean? They just know it is blatantly false. But you know, they also know that one lie takes 10 laps around the world before the truth gets the pants on to take a walk. And the only difference between me and them is that I will tell it as it is every day, night and day, every year long, until I die. So the loss is theirs. So my dear, Miguna is very much alive. Miguna is continuing exactly what he started all the way in 1987 before your conception. And Miguna will continue. I know because I can just see you and I know you are young. So I know you could not have been conceived in 1987. I'm making it dramatically. And join me, right? So whether it is social media, whether it is physical appearance like I'm doing here, this is not social media. So I hope you did not disregard what I'm doing today. And whether it is one-on-one, I've done this throughout my life and I'm not going to surrender. All right. Major achievements regarding good governance. I think I've answered this question. If all this I'm doing, if all I did was just this talk, I'm okay. Because how many are you? You are more than 100. If I imparted just a little bit of knowledge, I'm okay. I can go to sleep feeling very well. Then he says, if I was a head of state, what would I improve? How would I improve the life of Kenyans? I think now you know. I believe in integrity. I believe in all the principles and indicia of good governance that I've said. I'm committed to them. So if I were, hypothetically, I would govern according to the dictates that I have enunciated. I ran for governor, didn't make it, good leaders don't get positions, blah, blah, blah. So first of all, you don't have to occupy public office to do anything. I'm here, I don't occupy public office. I'm making a contribution in my small way, just like every one of us. You are making contributions in your small way, whether it is at the family level, whether it is at the employment level, whether it is as a student, you make your contribution. And that's all I am doing. Now, whether or not good leaders are elected, that's for another day. But that is assuming the elections were fair, free, and credible. Were they? They were not. So how do you know I lost when the elections were not credible? How do you know Sonko won? And between me and Sonko, who would you rather listen to at this event? Does it really matter that he won? And where is he now? You understand? Then the last one, what do we need to do to change the culture of corruption? And I think I've answered that too. Play your role, do your part, organize, and live according to the dictates of what I've gone through. If you did that, even if you achieve just a little bit, I think we should all be okay.
Thank you very much. A good applause for Dr. Miguna.